Well, yes, indeed. G7 leaders taking off, meeting today and tomorrow in Quebec in what's shaping up to be the most divisive gathering of leaders from major industrialized nations in years. Let's get into this. And at the G Summit is our own Josh Wingrove. He's Canada economy and politics reporter at Bloomberg News. He joins us on the phone from Quebec. Also joining us from Washington, D.C., Clayton Allen, Vice President of Special Situations at Hite Capital Markets. And Josh, I do want to start with you because, wow, what a week. More trade talk, imposition of steel and aluminum tariffs we had last week. You have the president coming out and talking about Russia today. Set the scene for us and what we might expect or how this might all play out.
Well, he's here, so that's a bonus, because there was much speculation that Trump wouldn't come. He has come. He sounds like he's going to leave early tomorrow, and before he came, he fired off a few more salvos on Twitter, complaining that the rest of the G6 has been giving the U.S. a raw deal on trade. And so, you know, we always expected it to be a fraught summit. It looks like it's going to be. He also threw another wrench into the mix by saying, hey, why isn't Russia here anymore? The Russians should be welcomed back into this summit. And so if Trump was trying to make a light entrance, he has not achieved that so far here. But they got underway about an hour and a half ago.
Clayton Allen over at Hite Capital Markets on the phone from the nation's capital for us. Tell us your thoughts as this G7 summit is getting underway.
It is good news that he did decide to go, so I would agree with that.
Right.
Looking at kind of expectations for what we could see coming out of this, I don't think that there's any real upside or real opportunity for any kind of thawing in the ongoing sort of trade disputes with the EU and with Canada. It seems like this, if anything, will exacerbate those, and it appears from most of the people that we're talking to in D.C. that expectations are that this is really just going to portend another month or so of increased tensions rather than kind of lessening them as we might have hoped.
I'm thinking very different from President Trump's first G7 summit, which was last year, which I think some people described as he felt, that he was kind of alone and I think a little uncomfortable. Very different mood this year. Josh, what are we anticipating with face-to-face meetings between the United States and some of their closest allies this weekend?
Not many of them. The British press in particular are questioning Theresa May on whether she asked for a meeting with Trump. She won't say, but she didn't get one in the end. The only people that Trump is meeting with are Justin Trudeau and Emmanuel Macron. And Macron looks like it was a brief visit sort of on a love seat, in a hallway somewhere. Mm-hmm. So the FaceTime that these leaders will get will mostly be in the group sessions. And again, Trump is leaving early. He's leaving before the sessions on climate change, on clean energy, on oceans. You might be shocked to know that those, aren't subjects that he's particularly interested in discussing. And he'll fly straight on to the Singapore for the North Korea summit.
What does this do, though, to the G7 kind of more broadly as a place where leaders get together to talk about big issues, Clayton?
I think that this is, the other six nations will certainly continue to use the G7 as a forum to negotiate among themselves. I think, if anything, this heightens the distance that Trump has created between the U.S. and our traditional allies, and sort of signifies, you've seen in recent weeks people in describing various actions that he's taken, saying that Trump is going it alone. And this is very clearly a reflection of that. And I think it's increasing the distance that we have between the U.S., France, Canada, Germany, really any of our traditional partners.
It's fascinating. I'm just seeing Politico put out some video, and I'm sure we've had some video of the leaders standing alongside one another for the traditional group photo. And President Trump is in between Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and then also in between, on his right, is Angela Merkel of Germany. And there's a few people, including Trump and Trudeau, that wave. Angela Merkel wasn't waving at the end. But as they break up, I guess, from the photo, you do see the German leader talking with President Trump. Josh, what does President Trump need to do, if anything, at this meeting? If there's one thing he does that might be important in terms of how these global relationships stay or where they go next, what would we need to see? Josh? Oh, I think we might have lost him. Okay. It's busy.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi.
No, that's okay.
I don't think there is one thing he can do. I think that he has started so many spats with all these leaders who in the last week look like they have had it. Things look particularly tense with him and Merkel, him and May, fading with Macron, fading with Trudeau. And he doesn't look like he's coming here to make nice. So I think the other ones are bracing for the fallout that will inevitably come by weaker ties with the U.S. and figuring out a way to go it alone.
Hey, Clayton, what are the relationships that are going to potentially become stronger as the U.S. and President Trump specifically kind of pulls back from the rest of the world?
I think you've certainly seen Germany take a more central leadership role within the EU, and certainly you'll see a tightening of relations both within the EU and also transatlantically with the EU and Canada. I think Canada is taking on somewhat of the mantle that the U.S. used to inhabit as the defender of free trade and sort of the counterbalance to European economic advance. So I think you're going to see China certainly increase its own stature, but within the context of the G7, much greater role for Canada, much greater role for Germany, and a diminished role for the U.S. moving forward.
Yeah, things being disrupted on every level. Josh Wingrove, just 15 seconds left here. So what are the meetings this weekend, just quickly?
A lot about growth and trade right now. There's, other things. Gender is a big topic that they're going to talk about, and tonight there's a cultural program. So maybe the calmer, sort of friendly part of it will make Trump convinced that these are his friends, not his foes.
Maybe everybody will have a glass of wine and relax a little bit. We'll see. Josh Wingrove, good stuff. Canada economy and politics reporter at Bloomberg News in Quebec, and Clayton Allen at Hyde Capital.